Hi guys, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my labor and delivery story. Real short. I'm gonna have a playlist with my natural hair videos and a playlist with my mommy videos, so when you come to my channel there you can choose which content that you would like to watch. So if you hear from my mommy videos, then you don't have to watch my natural hair videos, and if you hear from my natural hair videos, then you don't have to watch my mommy videos. You can just go to my playlist. Now just to recap on my pregnancy was fairly decent. The first 3 months were hell, terrible. I threw up every day, 6 times a day. I would wake up and I would throw up without anything on my stomach. Then I would eat breakfast, then I would throw up, and I would drink water, I would throw up. Anything would make me throw up. So it was pretty rough with the nausea the first 3 months, and then the rest of my pregnancy was pretty okay. I wasn't working my pregnancy, so I was at home, but I did walk a lot, dance, and did a little bit of exercise just to stay active. Now to my natural labor and delivery story. When I got pregnant, I knew right away that I did not want no drugs. I always wanted to have a natural birth. I knew I could do it without the epidural and without the drugs, and this is not to bash anyone that has taken the drugs. That was just my personal preference after my research, and I just wanted to go the natural route. So as soon as I got pregnant, I started doing my research looking for a local birth center, and luckily I found a really great birth center with amazing midwives that were very supportive along the way. So I never actually went to the hospital. I got all my blood tests done at the birth center, and I got all my anatomy scans, all my checkup, everything you can think of done at the birth center. I never actually went to a OB, and I never actually went to a clinic or a hospital per se. I just did everything at the birth center. Now onto the labor and delivery story. My daughter was due on April 3rd, and April 3rd came and went. No signs, anything at all. She was 40 weeks at that point. 40 weeks and 1 day on April 4th, I had an appointment with my midwife. Normally the midwives, they don't check, but I was like, can you please check me, because I really want to see where I'm at, because I was over the pregnancy. I was ready to have my baby. It's been 10 months and I was exhausted. So she did check me, and she was like, honey, you're only half centimeters dilated and 80% effaced. And I was so crushed because I was so over being pregnant. I was ready to have her, but then she was like, your baby will come when she's ready. And that's not something I wanted to hear, because I was over being pregnant. I just wanted to have my baby. But I went home and left it at that. My mom had came over and she was cooking for me and helping me out and just waiting for the baby to come, because she wanted to be there at my labor. That day I didn't even go on a walk. I was just so depressed. My husband got off work and he was like, are we going on a walk? I said, I'm not doing nothing. If she doesn't want to come out, I'm done. And so we watched a movie, and around 11 o'clock at night p.m. I went to pee, and I saw a little bit of my mucus plug. So I was like, yes, things are working. So I decided to go to sleep. I didn't tell anyone. I just went to sleep, and I decided if things are gonna progress, then I need to get some rest for the whole labor. So I went to bed, and I was getting contraction every 20 minutes. Started around midnight. Now at 5:30 in the morning, I went to the restroom, and I had lost what I believe is the rest of my mucus plug. So at that point the contractions started to pick up, and they were 3 minutes apart. So I went and woke up my mom and told her about it. She woke up and made me some tea. My husband went to set up the car seat because we didn't do that yet, and I was bouncing on my exercise ball. The contractions were about 3 minutes apart, like I said. So from 5:30 to 7, things started to pick up, and then I ended up throwing up and having diarrhea. Sorry, if this is TMI, but this is a labor and delivery video. So I ended up throwing up in heavy diarrhea, and I remember reading somewhere saying that if you're throwing up, that means you're really close to having your baby. So I called my midwife and let her know at that point that what was going on, and she told me to meet her at the birth center. So I took a shower and I was doing my makeup. Every time I would get a contraction, I would get on my knees on all fours, and then I would just breathe, and then once the contraction went away, I would get up and just trying to hurry up and do my eyebrows, and I'll get another one, then I'll do the same thing and get up and try to do my foundation. So afterwards, we headed over to the birth center. We got there around 10 a.m. When I got there, the midwife checked me, and I was 5 to 6 centimeters dilated around 10 a.m. Things started to pick up, but at that point the pain was pretty okay, because when I usually get my period, I usually get very, very bad period cramp. So at that point, to me, 5 centimeters dilated were similar to having a period cramp to me, because I usually have terrible cycle every month. So at that point, I was able to handle the pain because that was something that I was accustomed to. However, when it started getting to 7 centimeters dilated, things started to be pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. And you know, I was just doing my breathing technique, because I did take a hypnobirthing class as well, and my husband was there along with me, my mother-in-law, my best friend, the midwife, and the midwife assistant. So I had a pretty nice group of people there to support me. And around 7 centimeters dilated, the midwife offered me to get in the tub, and I decided to get in the tub just so I can feel a little bit better, because I do know that the warm water helped ease the pain. Now I got in the tub along with my husband, and it was pretty nice. I was able to bear with the pain with my breathing technique, and the water made everything feel nice. But after an hour or so, my midwife felt like the labor or the contractions were starting to slow down, and that I wasn't progressing. So she told me to get out the tub and to walk around. When I got out of that tub and walked around, the pain was excruciating. It was very, very intense, and I was holding on to my best friend on one hand, and I was holding on to my husband on the other hand, and I was just talking a whole bunch of gibberish. I don't even know what was going on at that point, because the pain were very intense. And my best friend, my husband, they were talking to me, and they were like, you can do it, just breathe, you got this, you're almost there, you're strong. And they were just really, really very supportive, and that really helped me to deal with the pain. After a little while, which probably was 30 minutes, I got back into the water. I asked to get back into the tub because the pain was very intense, and I was able to deal better with the pain when I was in the tub. But you know, the whole purpose of me walking around was for gravity to do its job, and for her to get down lower and lower so she can make her way out. So I got back in the tub at that point. Then I stayed in the tub for about an hour. Then she checked me, and I was about 9 centimeters dilated. At 9 centimeters dilated, it was about, I would say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And at that point, I was very tired, and I've been having contraction every 3 minutes since 5:30 in the morning, and we are at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was very exhausted, and I was getting to the point where I started to believe that I couldn't do it anymore. And the pain was very, very, very intense at that point. And I remember saying, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I remember in my head thinking, whose crazy idea was this? But it was my idea, and everybody was saying, my midwife assistants was saying, you can do this, you got this, you're almost there, your baby's right there. And everyone, my mom, I would look at my mom, I would look at my mother-in-law, everybody I would look at, they will smile at me, and they will say, you're doing a great job, you got this, you're almost done. And so that really hyped me up to thinking that I'm almost done, I got this. And I was just so over being pregnant, over being in labor, that I was ready to do anything and whatever it takes to get her out of me. So I around 9 centimeters dilated, about to 9.5. I was laying on my back in the water, and then my husband was holding me under my arms and just giving me support. And then the midwife told me to get into a squat position so she can even engage even more. When I got into the squat position, it was really painful, but I could feel my body contracting, or my uterus contracting and pushing her out, and her actually coming out. I actually pushed for 45 minutes. It felt like it was 10 minutes to me, but my midwife said I pushed for 45 minutes. Every time I would get a contraction, I would, bear down and push and breathe and get her out, and she would come out a little bit, and every contraction she would get further and further, and until I got like that big contraction and I pushed, then she came out in the sac, so the midwife had to rip the sac open. She came out, and then the midwife helped me pull her body out and then put her on my chest. And she wasn't crying at first, then she started coughing up a little bit, then she started crying, and then I started crying because I heard her cry, and it was just a very emotional moment, and it was probably the best day of my life. I am so happy I went with the natural birth. If my husband and I were to have another baby, there would not be another options for me. I would definitely be going the natural route. Her coming out was not the most painful out of the whole, and her coming out was not even the most painful to me. The contraction hurt a whole lot worse, between 8 and 10 centimeters dilated. So to me, when she was coming out, it just felt like a burning sensation, skin rubbing against each other, like that very sore burning stretching sensation, I guess you can say. That's the only way I can explain it to you, but it was just felt like it was burning, and that's pretty much it. The contraction to me hurt a lot worse than her actually coming out, and as soon as she came out, the pain went away instantly. I got out the tub, they put her on my breast to do skin to skin and to initiate breastfeeding. Then they got my placenta out. After that, she stayed on my breast for an hour. After they put her on my breast for an hour, they cut the cord, and they make sure I was able to eat. And about 4 hours later, I was home. We went home. I was released from the birth center. Then the next day, the midwife came and visit me, and it's been smooth sailing from then. My next video is going to be 10 tips on how to deal with pain when you're having a natural labor, so look out for that. And now I'm gonna go see if my daughter is awake, so I can show you guys, so I can introduce her to you guys, and I will be right back. There she is, you guys. Say hi. Say hi, Chocos. Say hi to everybody. She's 3 months old. She is 13 pounds and 23 inches. She is tall and solid. Say how tall and solid. Hey, Choco. Say hi to everybody. Alright, you guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Say bye. Say don't forget to subscribe. Bye, you guys.